Thank you for joining me, Tershia de Klerk, on Tershia Talks Trafficking. My talks aim to help expose exploitation, and we know that human trafficking is the exploitation of people's vulnerabilities, and it takes place when a person is tricked, coerced, or manipulated for the use of their body or for their labor. Human trafficking can take place even when transportation is absent. This reality helps us understand trafficking and enables more effective prevention of trafficking. The more we understand and grasp the definition of human trafficking in South Africa, the more effective we will be in helping to prevent and combat this crime, which is known as the fastest growing organized crime in the world. The National Center on Sexual Exploitation releases an annual list of 12 mainstream companies that either profit from or promote sexual exploitation material. This list is called the Dirty Dozen list. I discussed the first 6 companies during my previous talk, and those candidates were Mark Zuckerberg, Grok, Amazon, TikTok, Telegram, and Discord. And for those who missed it, I'll just run through them quickly. Mark Zuckerberg, the founder and CEO of Meta, under his leadership, Meta has consistently prioritized profits over child safety, allowing online sexual abuse and exploitation to flourish. And then Grok, the AI chatbot developed by XAI. Grok's companion AI chatbots have actually evolved into sexualized avatars. And Amazon, who sells childlike sex dolls. TikTok, whose algorithm encourages sexual content and is also a hub for collecting child sexual exploitation material, also known as CSAM. And then Telegram, which prioritizes privacy for sexual exploiters. And lastly, Discord, which is an online destination for exploitation as well as organized criminal sextortion networks. So let's take a look at the other 6 Dirty Dozen companies, but in more detail. It of course comes as no surprise that X made the list. X has become the front page for sexual abuse online, amplifying exploitation instead of preventing it. Not only did the platform decide to take no action on child sexual abuse material, but it continues to facilitate child abuse, image-based sexual abuse, AI, deepfake pornography, prostitution or sex trafficking, and so forth. Its policies and lack of enforcement make X a safe playground for abusers, and it has become a nightmare for survivors. So there is a story of John Doe. This story is one of heartbreak, resilience, and a fight for justice that could reshape the legal landscape for holding tech companies accountable. So let me share the story of John Doe. John was just 13 years old, and he fell victim to an online predator posing as a 16-year-old girl. Manipulated and blackmailed, he and a friend were coerced into creating explicit videos. And years later, these videos resurfaced on Twitter, which we now know as X, shared publicly for the world to see. The humiliation was unbearable, especially when his classmates discovered the videos. The shame and bullying drove John to the brink of suicide. John and his mother reported the content to Twitter. They begged for the CSAM to be removed, even sending photos of John's ID to prove that he was a minor. And Twitter's response was merely, "We've reviewed the content and didn't find a violation of our policies, so no action will be taken at this time." The videos remained online for days, reaching over 167,000 views and over 2,200 retweets before they were finally taken down, only after intervention from a family friend who happened to be a federal agent. This case is not just about John, it's about a system that allows tech giants to evade accountability. Twitter's refusal to act, despite clear evidence of CSAM, exemplifies the dangers of this unchecked power. The next company is Snapchat. Snapchat is a tool of choice for sextortionists, sex traffickers, and child abusers. And the company knows it. Internal documents and whistleblower accounts reveal that reports of abuse have often gone ignored. Critical safety fixes were dismissed to protect engagement metrics, and features like My AI have promoted statutory rape. The technology exists to stop this, yet Snap chooses not to. In a June 2025 report, which was done by Thorne, found the top platform identified by sextortion victims was Snapchat. According to documents from a lawsuit by the state of New Mexico, internal data from Snapchat shows they were receiving around 10,000 user reports of sextortion per month. Yet, many reports apparently went unresolved or uninvestigated. And a former Snapchat employee said, Snapchat doesn't take safety seriously, commenting, I left because of that. It was an ethical reason why I left. Snapchat started out as a sexting app, and they want to keep it that. That kind of stuff keeps all these young kids on the platform. Snapchat's My AI chatbot was exposed for inadequate safety testing, as internal engineering managers warned that the AI can be tricked into saying just about anything, and after it was launched, was caught dispensing dangerous advice to minors, such as how to conceal alcohol and drugs, or how to pursue sexual encounters with adults. And according to a lawsuit, safety enhancements that were flagged as critical by internal teams have often been dismissed by upper management. And also in some documented cases, such as 75 complaints mentioning nudes, minors, and sextortion, remained active for long periods. And the reality is that the technology to stop all of this does, in fact, exist. The next company is Steam. Steam is a PC gaming marketplace created by Valve Corporation that allows anyone to create an account and purchase from over 120,000 video games. It is the most popular PC gaming platform on the market. Estimates show that just under 16 million of the users are under the age of 18, although without meaningful age verification, there's no clear way to know how many kids are playing using adult accounts. Steam continues to host thousands of games which contain explicit sexual content. These sexual games sometimes depict egregious violence and abuse, such as a game in which the user plays a master who buys slaves to rape and torture. Even after Steam reportedly removed many adult-only games in 2025, there are still nearly 7,000 games with tags like NSFW, which stands for Not Safe for Work. A researcher took a closer look at these games and confirmed that while some games may have been given that tag erroneously, most of them contain hardcore pornographic content. STEAM does nothing to protect children who don't have the privilege of highly involved, tech-savvy caregivers enrolling them in family accounts. Any child can make a STEAM account without parental permission or age verification and immediately have full access to all sexually explicit games. The next qualifier is Chromebook. Chromebook is a lightweight cloud-based laptop by Google, and their focus with this product has been to get them into the hands of as many students as possible. Google has promised education for today and beyond. Google Chromebooks have achieved market dominance in schools, but they are riddled with serious flaws that jeopardize the safety and the well-being of children from grade K, or as South Africans known as grade R, all the way through to grade 12 students. At the heart of the issue is the Google Chromebook default settings, which have been reported to recklessly grant students open access to almost the entire internet. These are glaring failures to prioritize child safety for devices intentionally marketed and given to children. The admin console, which is supposed to help configure safety settings, is not user-friendly and requires constant upkeep and attention. And a lawsuit on behalf of a minor who was abused via her Chromebook actually states the following: Google provides tools that, if used, can make its products somewhat less dangerous, but schools must pay extra for them. And settings may be reconfigured to make the products less dangerous, but they are overwhelming. There are about 1,000 settings which are continually changing and difficult to navigate. The lawsuit goes on to state, Google forces onto schools and parents the responsibility of making its products less dangerous for students, and onto students the responsibility of not getting hurt while using them. The next qualified candidate is Android. Google's Android OS fails to prioritize prevention, leaving millions of teens exposed to sextortion, predatory messaging, and early encounters with pornography. By relying almost entirely on optional parental tools like Family Link, Android fails to provide built-in proactive safeguards, forcing children to navigate high-risk digital environments on their own. And in contrast, Apple's default settings show that it is possible to do better. In fact, Android and Apple phones now sit on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to default safety for minors. Apple assumes minors deserve built-in safety from the moment a device is powered on. Android assumes parents will proactively configure everything themselves, and that kids without involving caregivers can do without protection. After years of advocacy, Apple has moved towards a protect first model, where safeguards are automatically turned on when entering a child's age during the setup of the device. But when it comes to prevention, Google's Android is falling behind. There are approximately 3.9 billion active Android users in 190 countries, and that was in 2025. In 2024, a study done by Thorne found that the majority of victims are 14 to 70-year-old boys. That is 14 to 17-year-old boys. Sextortionists manipulate children into sending nude images, which are then used for blackmail. The very age group most at risk is left totally exposed to these harms by Android's current default policies. And then the last dirty dozen qualifier is the App Store. The Apple App Store lulls parents with kid-safe labels while exposing children to hidden online dangers. Deepfake nudity tools, stranger connection apps for 13-year-olds, and sex games for preschoolers have all waltzed into Apple's supposed safeguards, showing just how easily it is, or how easily its review system can be gamed. With 87% of the US teens on iPhones, Apple is the de facto gatekeeper of childhood online. And until it reins in dangerous apps, fixes deceptive age ratings, and closes loopholes in its parental controls, Apple is failing the very kids it claims to protect. Several deepfake porn apps were able to slip into the Apple App Store by disguising themselves as harmful photo editing tools. And it is true that while Apple has made important improvements to their devices, like turning on default web filters and blurring explicit content for children 17 years old and younger, Apple abandoned plans to detect child sexual abuse material on iCloud. And that is the full Dirty Dozens list for 2026. Thank you very much to the National Center on Sexual Exploitation for the amazing work that they do, for the court battles they take on, and for diligently investigating these platforms, and for bringing us the Dirty Dozens list every year. If you, the listener, is interested in helping to make a change, especially when it comes to raising your voice on the issues discussed today, and when it comes to policy and legislation reform, as well as supporting the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, you can visit www.endsexualexploitation.org. And also remember, more tools available to you is South Africa's National Human Trafficking Hotline number, which is a 24/7 anonymous reporting and free job vetting hotline. And that number is 0800 222 777. Also remember, there is a WhatsApp line also available, the Joseph Movement WhatsApp line, 082 766 9870. And let's also remember Missing Children South Africa, their number 072 Missing or 072 647 7464. Thank you so much for joining me, Tershia de Klerk, here to help expose exploitation. And remember, if you suspect something, say something. Goodbye and God bless.